Welcome to the Times Are Changing podcast. My name is Chase. I'm joined here with Zach. We are the COO and CEO of Golden Aspect. This is a podcast about cutting-edge strategies in digital and social media marketing.
In today's episode, we explain why you shouldn't let your business direct messages go unread, learn how to quickly filter out spam to identify real customers, and how to set up effective auto responses. Without any further ado, let's jump right in.
So today we're going to be talking about direct messages, specifically on social media and specifically on a business or brand account. We think this is actually a really important episode because just about every client that we've ever brought on board, if they had an existing social media, pretty much everyone without fail had not looked at their messages in at least a little while, if not ever. There were sometimes hundreds of messages that were piled up, and a lot of people don't go through these messages because a lot of them seem like spam. And that's not wrong. There are a lot of spam. There is a lot of spam on social media. That's just sort of the nature of the game. It's very accessible to everyone. There's lots of bot accounts. There's a lot of fishy stuff going on social media. So definitely be aware of the spam. However, because of the access, because of the easy-facing public nature of social media, it can be one of the easiest ways for a potential client or customer to get in contact with your business. And so we can say from personal experience with our clients that there are often real client inquiries or real client feedback, problems, questions, concerns, all of that stuff can sometimes land in your social media direct messages. So for that reason, it's very important that we make this episode so that you can be on top of those messages, that you can be optimizing and responding in correct fashion, and you can learn how to filter out those spam messages that aren't worth your time. So right off the bat, identifying spam messages. Now, this is something that if you're an actual human being, shouldn't be too difficult, but on social media, sometimes people get tricky with their spam messages. So here's a couple of different pieces of advice to look for. The number one thing that you might see is people asking for a shout out, asking for you to check out something of theirs. That's a clear sign that it's going to be spam, and there's no new reason to respond in any of these scenarios. Another one would be people advertising their own products or services. Another one could just be a sort of random message that just doesn't really make sense. It doesn't say anything about your business. It's not coming from an account that has a lot of engagement. One of the easiest ways to differentiate spam versus real client inquiries is to click on their profile, and this will very quickly let you know if this seems like a legitimate person with a legitimate inquiry or if this is a bot or a spam account. That's one of the most foolproof ways to look, is just take a look at their account and see if it looks like a real person or not. Anything that has very few followers or no posts, anything that's out of country generally is also generally not going to be legitimate unless your company does a lot of international business. Anything that mentions, secret societies or something like that, or anything that just seems phony in general. Generally, these are pretty easy to discern. However, going to that messenger's account is a surefire way to very quickly decide if it's real or not. And if you are on the fence about whether it might seem real or not, it's probably spam. Although if you really want to be sure, you can respond, but generally err on the side of spam. However, that's definitely not the only type of message that you'll get on social media.
Yeah, while there are a lot of accounts out there that are made purely for the purpose of just spamming accounts and trying to get clicks on random stuff, there's also a lot of real people out there on social media. And chances are a lot of those people in your DMs who are actual humans probably want to know something about your product. Now, for most people, unless you have like a large chain of storefronts that people can go to, like Apple, for example, and they can go to the Genius Bar and get advice or ask questions or go talk to somebody who works there, unless you have that sort of brick and mortar presence, social media might be the primary B2C business to customer facing interface for your entire potential target market or clientele. Now, everybody in the world essentially is on social media. So if somebody wants to approach you for just a generic question about your product, chances are they might not want to call your company phone number or send an email to support or something like that. They're likely going to approach you on social media because by design, it is approachable. The whole point of social media is to be able to connect with people that you've never met all over the place, all over the world. So as a brand, being receptive to those types of people who are reaching out is an absolute necessity. We've seen people ask about product availability, pricing, discounts or specials that might be going on, general questions about your product. It's really important that you just keep an eye on your direct messages, because these are the types of things that you want to be responding to. And this is also the type of stuff that's really going to enhance your brand as a whole, especially when they're telling their friends about your business. Like, hey, I sent a DM to so-and-so company asking about stuff, and they actually responded to me. It's just good social proof to have for your business. A lot of times you'll also get people with complaints about your product or service. Maybe you have one store location and somebody had a really poor experience with one of your employees at that location. If there's not a clear way or place for them to talk to somebody about that, chances are they might turn to social media and send you a direct message and say, hey, this employee at this location was treating me like garbage and I have a problem with this. Now, chances are if you get a complaint like that, that's something that you at least would want to look into as a business. So take these sort of legitimate complaints to heart. It's important to listen to your customers, and the best way to get feedback on your business or your services is through social media, because that's what it was designed for. A lot of times you'll even get people asking questions after they've purchased your product, saying, hey, how do I use this? Like, how do I set this up? Something isn't working for me. Now, you might have other chat systems on your website or support emails for people to go to, but like I was saying earlier, social media is something that everybody has access to and everybody is familiar with. Chances are if they want to approach somebody in a not super formal way, especially a business with where they have a fairly low ranking concern, they're going to reach out through social media. So it's really, really important that you look through these direct messages, keep an eye out for those types of messages, and respond in a relevant and thoughtful way.
Yeah, this is something, again, where we bring this up every podcast, but it's important to let your preconceived biases to the side, because, well, you may not reach out to someone on social media. Maybe you prefer to call or email or look at their website. We can say, having run a lot of different client accounts, from the data, it's very clear that people these days are reaching out with legitimate inquiries on social media. So with that in mind, don't be letting these messages go unread. At least have someone putting eyes on them, because there are legitimate things that are going to come into your inbox. And another thing that will also show up as your brand grows are going to be influencers. And this is something that we did an entire podcast about. It was last week, actually, so go check that out right after this and listen a little bit more. But as your business account grows, you're going to get a lot, potentially a lot of influencer requests. And this is an excellent way to identify influencer collaborations. We talked about all the value that these influencer collaborations can provide, and people that are reaching out to you, they're primarily going to reach out over social media, because that's where they have their presence, their social media accounts, they have their blue check marks, their verifications, their social proof that they're a real influencer. They're going to reach out to you on your social media platforms. And so this is also, again, a reason why you should have up and running social media, so that you can get these influencers reaching out to you, because this is the easiest way to run a successful collaboration. Because if they're already reaching out to you with interest in your product or service, it's going to be a much easier transaction, and the collaboration is going to run much smoother. So definitely keep a lookout for these. Like we said, one of the easiest ways to discern whether it's an influencer or not is going to be that blue verification check mark that they're going to have on most social media platforms. That's going to indicate that they're verified, they're going to have more followers, all that kind of stuff. So definitely keep an eye out for those. Look at them, take a look at their social media profile, see if they're a good fit. Like I said, we did a whole podcast on vetting influencers and finding a good fit. But again, these are often going to come into your direct messages, especially as your brand grows. So don't let them go unread, because you could be missing out on pretty big opportunities with these influencers. So that is basically a quick rundown of all direct messages that you need to know off the bat. Looking for spam, looking for real customers, and looking for influencers. Those are the three primary things that you're going to run into. And if you're not checking those messages, you're going to be missing out on real customers. Real customer complaints is also, like Zach mentioned, a big one, and these influencers. So we hope that convinces you to at least take a look at these direct messages once in a while, maybe assign someone to keep up with them. You can put on notifications on one of your phones or company computer or something, and make sure to check them on all platforms too, because some people prefer to tweet, they prefer Twitter, some people prefer Instagram, Facebook, basically any social media platform they might be reaching out on. So make sure that you're checking messages on all of those platforms as well.
This episode of Times Are Changing is brought to you by Golden Aspect, our company. We're a digital media and marketing agency that specializes in a one contact for everything social approach and completely integrated marketing campaigns.
We emphasize high touch, strong client relationships, and fully integrated marketing approaches. Each of our marketers are proficient in every service we offer and are reachable 7 days a week by text or call. This reliable communication and interaction with your business ensures your contact will be equipped to handle anything you need anytime you need it.
If you want to learn more about what Golden Aspect can do for your business or a friend's business, please feel free to check out our website, www.goldenaspect.com. That is www.goldenaspect.com.
1, 2.
So, as your brand grows, chances are you're going to end up getting a lot more direct messages from people. A lot more spam, a lot more actual customer inquiries, and a lot more influencer collaboration potentials. Now, it is important to be able to sort through all of this stuff in a timely manner. Like we said, checking them yourself or assigning somebody else to go through these. Once you start to really grow, you might be getting literally hundreds of messages per day, and you don't want to really end up having to spend half your day just scrolling through DMs on different platforms. So there's a couple different ways that you can sort of streamline this process and make it easier on your end, and also sort of sort through the different types of messages. And one of the best ways to do this is through an auto response system. Now, Facebook and Instagram each sort of have their own ways about how this works, but it's really most powerful on Facebook. So on Facebook, you can actually set up and activate your own auto responses, which means that people will be getting a response instantly anytime they message you about anything. Now, this is great for two reasons. First off, that person who's reaching out is going to be getting a response from the company right away. They don't have to wait for you to go through and find their message in the massive pile of DMs that you're getting every day. And secondly, you can customize these messages with different aspects for different situations. So Facebook will allow you to include a bunch of different options and additional information about your company, including saying hi to somebody after they first message you, responding to common questions. So, like, for example, if Facebook detects that the message somebody sent you says, like, hey, where are you guys located? Like, what's your address? You can set Facebook to automatically respond with a welcome message and then also the address to your location automatically, and then that whole exchange is taken care of for you. You can customize them in a variety of different ways with custom responses, and it also allows you to ask your audience for feedback. There's a lot of different angles that you can take with these Facebook auto responses. The most important part is that you're putting in some other sort of contact information or a place where they can get more information about your business, especially if you don't think you're going to be able to be responding to certain direct messages for, say, maybe a couple hours or even a day after they come in. Having something like this that hits somebody back as soon as they message with, hey, thanks for shooting us a message. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. In the meantime, check out our website here or email us at help@companyname.com, and we'll get back to you with your specific request or something like that. Just adding more information, giving them something else to go off of in the meantime until you can provide a relevant and specific response to that person, can greatly aid in your ability to retain these legitimate customer inquiries in a positive way.
Yeah, and just to go off that, just to be clear, auto responses are great, and that's why we're talking about all the value they can provide here, but it's never a substitute for an actual substantive response from someone at your company. So the purpose of these auto responses really is to give people something to go off so that they know that you're going to respond to their message and not that it'll just be sitting unread forever, which is often what can happen to people when they message companies on social media. So these auto responses give them at least some confidence that you're going to get back to them, but it's important that you do get back to them. And so something that I should have mentioned in part one is how often should you check these messages? Now it's going to depend on the side of your company and the bandwidth that you have to do so, but I recommend that at a minimum you have someone put eyes on your messages on every platform at least once a day. So in the mornings, in the evenings, at least set one time per day at a minimum, if not twice. Ideally check them in the mornings and the evenings. That way you're at least going to get back to people in a somewhat timely manner. But in the meantime, these auto responses can be great. So Facebook auto responses are by far the best. They have a great system for this. A lot of people do message through Facebook, especially because Facebook will show like a little banner telling how often and how responsive your account is. So that's also something that you're going to want to get up so that you show that you have a quick response rate. That's going to be great for your Facebook page. So people will generally message through there, but they also may message through Instagram or Twitter or other platforms, but most commonly Instagram and Twitter as well. So they're actually on Instagram, there's a feature called quick replies. Now, this doesn't work the same way that an auto response does. The way it works is that you actually have to manually respond, but what you can do is basically set up a word that denotes a longer response. So say, for example, you can set the word influencer to then quickly copy and paste to like a longer paragraph that responds to any influencer requests. You can have one that says customer that will quickly respond to like a general customer request. And so that way it's much easier when you're going through these messages to send direct responses, but that does require you to actually be on there manually. And that's, again, I think something that where Instagram wants their direct message system to be a little bit more valuable and not as much spam. So that's why I think they don't give you an auto response feature built in. However, there are a couple of third-party softwares that we can recommend if having an actual direct auto response is something that you think would be valuable. Slide.software is their website. You can check that out. That is just for Instagram. There's also Crowdfire, which is a pretty popular one. Crowdfire does a lot of other features as well, but they do offer auto response systems for Instagram and Twitter. So that way you can cover both of those platforms. But what we'd recommend, again, is really having someone that can look at these messages, setting up quick replies on Instagram so that after a couple of hours, when you check those messages, you can get back to people and it doesn't take you as long to write it out. And then same thing on Twitter as well. Now, Twitter, again, doesn't have as many features as Instagram and Facebook do. However, there's a lot of these third-party apps that you can include, and it's also going to depend on where your brand is most concentrated. So obviously, whatever your primary platform is, each brand's going to have a primary platform, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Make sure you focus on that first, wherever you're getting the most messages, obviously is the most important, and setting up at least some sort of auto response system so that people know that you are actually active on that account and that you're actually going to respond to their message. And obviously, like Zach mentioned before, giving them a couple of other contact options, because often, the help email isn't very visible on your website. So people might go to social, and if you at least give them really clear contact information in that auto response, it's not an ideal response, but at least it's a little bit better than nothing, and it'll give people a little bit more patience to wait for your response. But definitely don't let these go unread for multiple days, because especially if these are real clients, they're going to move on. They're not going to have the same, intent to purchase that they may have had before. So definitely don't let these slide under the radar, and using these auto response systems can be a great way to do so. If you want to do it right now on your Facebook account, very easily, if you have the Facebook Pages app, which is how you manage a business account, you can go into your settings and then click on automated responses and then set up what's called an instant reply. You can actually do this right on your phone. You can type out your message. You can add personalization features, such as the first name of the person that's messaging you. That makes it seem a little bit more personalized. These are good features to add. And then you can craft a whole message. There's a character limit, I know, so you can't have it be super long, but make it as concise as possible. Have it give the relevant information, and at least that will get you started with these direct messages and hopefully help you retain some of those real customer inquiries and help you convert on those potential leads.
So we hope this was helpful. A little bit of a quicker episode today, but if you haven't checked your direct messages in a while, go check them out right now. I hope you realize that there is a lot of value to be gained by staying up to date on these messages. So please read them, respond to them, and grow your business with them. With that, that's about where we're going to wrap things up today. Make sure you follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. We upload weekly episodes every Tuesday. If you're interested in reading our newsletter, please visit our website at goldenaspect.com/timesarechanting. Once again, that is goldenaspect.com/timesarechanting. Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Times Are Changing podcast, and we'll see you all next week. If you enjoyed listening to this week's podcast, please check us out on social media, Instagram at Golden Aspect Media. If you want to learn more about what our company can do for your business, please check out our website, www.goldenaspect.com. We offer everything from content creation, social media account management, to digital ad marketing campaigns.
Look, if you made it this far, you're obviously interested in this stuff. And are you doing it? Is your company doing it? If you're not, you really should be, because you're missing out, and we're here to help. So send us a message, send us an email, give us a call. We'll be here, ready to help. Take care.